Hey, what's going on? Aaron Chen, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to review Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek, okay? So you might be checking this book out. Maybe you saw it on the shelves. Maybe you've heard about it. It is a very, very popular book and it's just got an amazing title. So I'm going to talk all about the 4-Hour Workweek so you can decide whether or not you want to purchase this book, or is it just a waste of time? Is it just a total hype and Tim has no idea what he's talking about and people are just kind of hyping it up, all right? So in this book review, I'm going to share some of my biggest insights in the book, how it's changed my life, whether it will change yours, and whether it's worth, investing in or not, right? It's not expensive, but, still it's a pretty thick book, and, anytime you invest your effort and time into something, you want to make sure that it's worth it, right? I came across this book a long time ago, when a few years after it was first published, and the thing about this book is, to be honest, the title is very hypey, all right? That's what I will say, the 4-Hour Workweek. I mean, that's what Tim strives to do, but, honestly, I don't think with his schedule, he doesn't really work only 4 hours. He works longer than that, but it is a catchy title, right? And the whole idea is to teach you how to work less. But I think that it's pretty impossible to work only 4 hours, especially if you're trying to grow an empire. So that's the only thing. But the content of the book is amazing, okay? This book changed my life. This book changed the way that I looked at retirement. It changed the way that I looked at work. It changed the way that I looked at automation, and it changed the way that I looked at leverage, because I am a, traditional Asian guy. I came from a school of thought where you work hard, you wear a suit to work, you get a good job, and then you work until you die, basically. And then you get, you retire at 60, 70 years old with a golden handshake, golden parachute, hopefully, in this day and age, it's very rare now. And then you kind of live your life, right? So a lot of people kind of come from that mindset. Now, this book flips that entire, paradigm on its head, because basically, in a nutshell, what Tim says is that you can't wait until you're 60 or 70 to enjoy your life, because by the time you're 60 or 70, when you retire, you're just not going to have the strength to climb Machu Picchu, or to travel all over Europe, or to take martial arts lessons in Thailand, kickboxing lessons, and things like that, right? He says you need to enjoy your life now while you're young, right? And how do you do that? Especially if you're cooped up in a job and you're not able to work all the time. Well, essentially, he teaches you the formula in this book, right? So he kind of starts off with explaining that the way that you do it, and the thing I love about this book is it's focused on the majority of people. Majority of people have full-time jobs, right? So he teaches you strategies on how to start to work further and further away from the office. How do you start to eliminate things that you don't really need to do all the time, right? How do you eliminate activities that aren't really serving you every single day? And you do that by hiring virtual assistants. Even if you work a full-time job, hire a virtual assistant, get them to organize a lot of stuff. How do you speak to your boss to allow them to let you work from home more and more? And obviously with COVID, things have changed quite a little bit, because this book was written, quite a long time ago. This book was written in 2007. So if you think about it, the 4-Hour Workweek has been out for a long time, but the strategies are still very, very sound. They're still very relevant to today. And so he teaches you how to speak to your boss and basically do tasks so that your boss will trust you enough to not necessarily have to come into the office all the time. And then you just leverage that more and more, so you spend less and less time in the office, but you're still a good employee. And then eventually your boss will be like, look, you can basically do whatever you want as long as you deliver on your project. So that's kind of the first few chapters. And then he talks all about how do you start to outsource your life? How do you start to create automation? How do you start to create an income, which is basically starting a business online? And he gives you a lot of resources. That's also the thing I like about this book, is that a lot of other books on business and motivation, they don't actually give you the resources, but in the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim literally lists out all the resources, like what websites to use. How do you find someone in India to help you do the outsourcing? What are some of the freelance websites? Like, he literally lays out all the different websites that you can use to help leverage your life. He also gives you ideas on the businesses that you can start. Where do you go to start the businesses? What websites you can use to start those businesses? So it's very practical, it's almost like a workbook. It's not like it's not like a book where you sit down and you kind of read and then you forget about it. It's an actual workbook that you would use, a pen and a piece of paper and kind of like, doodle inside and go back and make markings and stuff like that. That's why it's such a good book, right? And then after creating a business, which is really where the full automation starts, right? Is how do you start to take mini retirements? And that's, so I took a few things from this book. Obviously, the automation, the leverage, starting an online business. I was kind of already on that path when I came across the 4-hour work week. But for me, the big one was you must take mini retirements in your life before you actually retire. Now, what does that mean? That means that you need to go and live and do the things that you really want to sooner than later. That means now. Okay, so don't wait until you're 60 before you decide to pack up your bags and live in Thailand for 6 months, for example, right? So he's all about taking mini retirements where you live in a country and you sample the culture for at least 3 to 6 months out of the year, right? So don't go there for like 10 days because 10 days is like a cramped holiday, right? What you want is you want to do mini retirements. So pack up your bags and live in Bali for 6 months, learn to surf, right? Learn to do, whatever it is, capoeira, kickboxing, right? Learn to do pottery if that's what you want to learn to do. Live in a villa in Bali where you've got a maid and where you've got breakfast made for you and, all those great things, right? So really, really enjoy life and then do that, maybe 2 to 3 times a year if you can, right? And the whole idea is that you don't need to be rich to do that. Right, so he talks all about how, if you can get to maybe 30 to 50,000 US dollars a month, and he shows you how to do that in this book as well, you can literally do pretty much anything that multimillionaires can do because you don't need to buy everything. You can rent things, right? You don't need to buy a plane. You can rent a plane, right? You don't need to buy a yacht. You can rent a yacht. So there's some great ideas in this book about really living the ultimate lifestyle, leveraging your time, creating automation, living in the now, living it, creating mini retirements all over your life, and then he gives you the resources to help you to get there. So this book is powerful, man. It's powerful, and of course, again, the title is a little bit hypey, and it's not, you're not really meant to work only 4 hours a week, but he teaches you how to reduce the amount of hours you do work, and how you can live life better, and how you can, again, automate, leverage, retire quickly, but of course, maintain projects and stuff like that, so your brain doesn't, degenerate, if that makes sense. Okay, and this is why this is such a good book. It is so inspiring. It's so thought-provoking, and it changes the whole way that you look at the world and your paradigm, right? So much so that I've gotten my business to a certain point where I can do things like that now. A lot of automation, a lot of leverage. I do everything online, and I am probably going to move to Bali for 6 months next year. I never would have done that before, and it's because I read this book, and it's pushed me to do things like that. And then after Bali, maybe the year after, I don't know, maybe it'll be South America, or maybe it'll be Thailand, or maybe it'll be the US or Europe. I'm not sure, right? But it is I highly recommend this book. If you haven't read it, if you think it's hypey, believe the hype, because this shit will change your life, okay? And yes, it is a little bit dated because he wrote it a long time ago, but the concepts and even some of the resources are still highly, highly relevant till today, all right? So if you're sitting on the fence, I highly recommend that you just buy it, okay? Just go to your nearest bookstore, go to Amazon, and just pick it up, all right? I'm gonna drop my 4-hour work week link if you want to give me some credit below this video. But it is super powerful. I highly recommend it. Tim is the real deal. He knows his shit, right? And it's such a good book. I read it twice. I think I'm on my 3rd time now. So just get it, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this review of the 4-hour work week. Believe the hype. It's awesome. It's a great book. It's one of my favorite books. I would say top 3 book that I've ever read in my life. And I've read a lot of books, right? So check it out. But listen, if you're here right now watching this video, then maybe you're still on your development journey, right? Maybe you're still trying to figure out how to live the great life, right? And while Tim has, summarized a lot of it here, what I find is that what you really need to do is the business part can be a little bit tricky. And even though he does give you some good resources, I found a way to create a multiple 6-figure business 100% online. I use tools, I use software, I create leverage, right? And so you can do the same thing if you want. And if you're at that stage where you're trying to figure out what kind of business to start, I would love to teach you or help you in that area. So I've got a free 6-figure workshop that you can register for just clicking the link below. And I'm going to show you the exact business that I've built. 100% online. Literally all you need is an internet connection and a laptop or a PC. And you can create a lot of leverage, a lot of automation. You can sell to people all over the world. That's how I got to multiple 6 figures. This is how I leverage my time. I work more than 4 hours a week, of course, because I'm trying to build the business, right? But you can create a lot of income that way, and then you can live the life that Tim speaks about inside of the book if you want. All right, so I hope to see you on that workshop. I hope you enjoy the book. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.